The protagonist of the film is Jennifer Hills, a novelist from New York. As an independent woman, she is preparing to head to a small village in Connecticut, where she has rented a cabin. Jennifer believes that the peaceful and serene environment will help her overcome writer's block. After a while, she stops her car in front of a store where a guy named Earl greets her. He appears to be the owner of the cabin she has rented. Earl hands her the keys and gives her directions. However, Jennifer doesn't pay much attention and simply thanks him before leaving. Along the way, she is captivated by the beauty of the countryside. But she also feels confused because all the roads seem the same. Thus, she stops at a gas station to ask for directions. 3 men are working there, all of whom look creepy. From the moment Jennifer walks in, they start staring at her in a chilling manner. One of them, named Johnny, even tries to flirt with her, but Jennifer retaliates, causing him to trip over a bucket of oil. This makes his friends Andy and Stanley burst into laughter. Jennifer drives away, while Johnny is clearly embarrassed by the incident. In the next scene, Jennifer finally arrives at the cabin, which is located beside a beautiful lake. She then unpacks her luggage and makes herself comfortable. By evening, she begins working on her new novel. It seems that the isolated environment helps her concentrate. The next morning, while resting by the lake, Jennifer hears some strange noises, but she chooses to ignore them, assuming they are sounds made by some animal. However, the strange noises continue into the night. This annoys Jennifer as it disrupts her work. So she decides to investigate the source of the noises. After a while, she discovers a nearby shed from which the sounds seem to be coming. However, when Jennifer enters, she finds nothing inside but some tools, bottles of poison, and other machinery. Afterward, Jennifer returns to her cabin and starts working. However, when she picks up her laptop, she accidentally knocks over a drink. With her clothes stained, she takes them off and starts washing them in the kitchen sink. Unexpectedly, while she's washing her clothes, an unidentified person is recording her on video. The next morning, Jennifer goes for a jog in the woods to stay fit. Along the way, she stumbles upon an abandoned house and decides to take a look. However, finding the house creepy, she quickly runs away. A while later, she returns home, decides to take a shower, but the faucet seems to be clogged. She then contacts a plumber for help. In the next scene, a man named Matthew arrives to fix the problem. He appears to have a mental disorder, making it difficult for him to speak. Despite this, he manages to get the water flowing again. Jennifer is very pleased and approaches Matthew, suddenly giving him a kiss. Matthew is completely caught off guard and runs away without even taking his payment. The scene shifts to the 3 friends from the gas station who are hanging out by the lake. Stanley is recording their interactions with a camera because he has a fondness for filming. At this moment, a panicked Matthew runs over and explains to them how Jennifer had kissed him earlier. Johnny thinks he's making it up, but Stanley suggests it might be true. He then shows them the secret video he filmed of Jennifer the previous night. Since Jennifer is nearly undressed in the video, they assume she's looking for some fun. They devise a sinister plan to take advantage of her. That night, Jennifer is awakened by some strange noises. Terrified, she decides to investigate and finds a dead bird outside. When she returns to her room, she finds her laptop open with a wallpaper of the 3 men from the gas station. This makes her realize that someone has broken into her house. Jennifer desperately calls for help, but Johnny, Andy, and Stanley surround her from different directions. Soon, Matthew is also dragged into the room to join in, against his will, but pressured by his peers. They then humiliate her. Jennifer endures immense pain. At one point, when everyone is too relaxed, Jennifer seizes the opportunity to fight back. She smashes a vodka bottle on Andy's knee and then sprays Stanley with pepper spray. Afterward, she runs into the woods until she encounters Earl and the local sheriff, Storch. The sheriff calms her down, showing his badge, saying she is now safe. Then he sends Earl away and takes her back to the cabin under the pretense of confronting the bad guys. However, as soon as they arrive, Storch's demeanor changes. After finding marijuana and some alcohol on the table, he suspects her of lying. Jennifer desperately claims she is the victim, but he doesn't listen. Instead, he asks her to turn around so he can search her. Innocently turning around, Jennifer is horrified as the evil sheriff begins groping her waist. When she tries to resist, other men enter the room, revealing they are friends of Storch. Jennifer finds herself in a terrifying situation with no escape. The men humiliate her again. Jennifer, in agony, slowly exits the room, but the men follow closely behind. Andy grabs her hair and repeatedly dunks her face into a water puddle. After that, all the men take turns doing horrible things to her. Even the sheriff, who should uphold the law, participates in the heinous acts. Stanley records the entire ordeal, making the scene even more barbaric. After they finish, Jennifer is nearly unconscious. Nevertheless, she stands up and walks deeper into the woods, hoping to find someone. However, the evil men continue to follow her. They eventually corner her on a bridge where Storch is ready to finish her off. But just then, Jennifer jumps into the river, making an incredible escape. The men search for her for a while but fail to find her and decide to eliminate all evidence. They burn her belongings in the cabin, and Stanley is ordered to destroy the videotape. Afterward, Storch casually returns home to reunite with his family. Despite having a daughter himself, he unhesitatingly destroys another girl's life. The next day, he drives to Earl's shop, returns the cabin key to him, and lies that Jennifer left without any notice. The film cuts to several weeks later. The evil gang seems to have forgotten about the incident. They live normal lives, drinking beer and having fun. Only Matthew seems affected, as he spends most of his time alone, deeply regretting his actions. One day, Johnny is zoning out at his doorstep when Stanley runs up with bad news. He tells Johnny that someone stole his camera, which had the controversial video he hadn't destroyed. Johnny is furious, immediately attacking his friend for putting their lives in danger. That evening, alone at home, Johnny is startled by a loud noise. When he goes to check, he finds a dead bird. Thinking it's a prank, he kicks the bird away and goes to sleep. However, the noise persists, prompting him to check again. To his shock, the dead bird mysteriously reappears as if someone is playing with him. Furious, Johnny goes inside to grab a gun, but when he comes out, he finds Jennifer's slippers on the porch. This scares him, and he furiously searches around but finds no one. Elsewhere, as Sheriff Storch returns home from work, his wife hands him a package, saying it was delivered by an unknown person. Thinking he's received an early Christmas gift, Storch is horrified to find it's a tape of illegal recordings made by Stanley. Enraged, he then confronts the group, demanding an explanation. He accuses Stanley of deliberately trying to ruin his family. However, Johnny defends his friend and presents the slippers. He suggests that someone else is causing trouble. Storch realizes they are all in grave danger and decides to eliminate any loose ends. The first victim is Earl, as he had seen Storch escort Jennifer into the cabin on that fateful night. Then, the sheriff decides to kill Matthew because he was never part of their plan. The scene switches to Matthew, who is outside the cabin, haunted by his dreadful past. He has not recovered from the incident. Just then, he hears a strange noise and rushes into the shed. As he searches each room, he accidentally slips and falls down the stairs. When he regains consciousness, the sight before him shocks him. Jennifer is sitting on the couch, her eyes filled with rage. Matthew approaches her, deeply apologizing for his actions. Initially, Jennifer pretends to comfort him, but at the right moment, she slips a noose around his neck, seemingly intending to strangle him. The next day, when Stanley and Andy go looking for Matthew, they encounter the previously abandoned house. Andy goes inside to check, while Stanley stays outside. At that moment, Stanley comes face to face with Jennifer, who wears an evil smile on her face. He tries to rush at Jennifer but gets caught in a bear trap she had placed there. Hearing his screams, Andy rushes out of the house, but he too is quickly subdued by Jennifer. Stanley meets the same fate, struck on the head with a baseball bat by her. In the next scene, he wakes up to find himself tied to a tree. Jennifer records the entire process with a camera, just as he had done to her. Then, she begins the torture process. First, she stuffs a dead rat into his mouth, making him vomit. Next, she pierces his eyelids with fishhooks to ensure he cannot blink. Finally, she cuts open a fish and smears the intestines on his face. Soon, crows attracted by the smell start pecking at Stanley. Unable to move, the crows eventually eat his eyes, and he lost his life. We then see Andy's plight, who is tied above a bathtub filled with boiling water, supported only by a few planks of wood. Jennifer removes one of the planks, leaving him no choice but to support his entire body weight on his own. Seconds later, his body finally succumbs, lost his life in the boiling water. The next day, Jennifer, dressed in a dress, goes to the gas station. As expected, Johnny falls for the trap, and when he approaches her, she knocks him out with a punch. She then takes him to the same abandoned house and ties him up without clothes. Afterward, she begins to take revenge on him. She methodically pulls out his teeth one by one, reminding him of the terrible things he did to her. She also shoves a gun down his throat, just as he had done to her. However, Johnny doesn't apologize but instead starts laughing maniacally, as if he hasn't learned from his mistakes. Seeing this, an enraged Jennifer grabs a pair of scissors and cuts off his part. Then, she forces him to eat it. Johnny screams in agony and ultimately lost his life from excessive blood loss. The next day, while driving, Storch receives a call from his wife. She says their daughter's teacher has come over and wants to talk. Storch is shocked to learn that it's Jennifer. Concerned for his family's safety, he turns the car around and hurries home. However, when he arrives, he finds that the teacher has already taken his daughter to the park. He rushes to the scene, frantically searching, but Jennifer ambushes him from behind and knocks him out. When Storch awakens, he finds a rifle barrel shoved against his back. Jennifer shoves the gun harder, causing him excruciating pain. She then crosses the room and finds Matthew, who is still alive but unconscious. Jennifer ties one end of a rope to his hands and the other end to the rifle's trigger. She explains that any movement from Matthew would kill them both. She then leaves the room, leaving the two men to their fate. Soon, Matthew wakes up, and in his panic upon finding himself in this grim room, he moves abruptly, resulting in both men being killed instantly. As the movie ends, Jennifer reveals a faint smile. She has finally completed her revenge,